Before we get into the video, major shout out to Mahogany Books. You will actually see that their Instagram page is actually where I got a few of the videos. It connects to the actual story that we're talking about with this particular segment. Also to Heal Black Men, I used one of their videos where they had Kobe in it. Major salute to them, not trying to steal the property at all. Let's get into the video. Welcome back to Supremely Black Podcast. This is your host, D Rose. Now, this is a topic that has been on my mind for a while, but I just think it's the perfect time to go ahead and get some conversation around it. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, this is something that has been trending. This is something that has been tracked pretty consistent since 2021, right? This is a youth risk behavior survey. And so 22% of the high school students seriously considered attempting suicide, with a noticeably sharp increase in suicide and attempted suicide amongst the Black youth. So this is important. It's not just because it's amongst the Black youth. There is a rise across the nation with suicides and suicide attempts with everyone. But if we're looking at it being very specific, there is a drastic increase in suicide or suicide attempts or even thoughts for Black youth. Now, there was an article that I was reading that stated is the pressure that is placed upon young Black kids starting to catch up to them. So what that means is, you know, how we were brought up is you have to be 2 times better, 10 times better than anybody that you're going up against based off of just the racial discrimination that you may go with from maybe like your ancestors, your elders, when they looked at it from how they were brought up, right? So they tell you have to go 10 times harder because of your skin. You have to show that you are more worthy. So that's something, I'm 32, we heard growing up, but we took it more or less as an inspiration and something to give you like that extra push. Let me go out here and make some shit happen. Let me make sure my people are proud, right? Now, what they're studying and what they're seeing is that with this new generation, and them having so much accessibility to everything that's online, it feels more like a competition instead of a motivational statement. So when they see or hear, hey, you have to go harder, you have to do this, now they're comparing and contrasting themselves to their peers that they may see online, right? We all know, well, I'm not gonna say we all know. For the most part, for the people that understand that what people place on the internet is not truthfully their real life. I've literally seen people have somebody else's money in their pocket, get online, record it, and act like they really doing it like that, and it ain't. They asking for money. They probably owe somebody some money that they with in the pictures. But it's been questioned now is that with that being something that we were brought up, and now a lot of us are parents or uncles and aunties, is that pressure too much for this newer generation? And with the study, it shows that it's going up drastically higher. And I just think about it from my own experiences when I was mentoring kids in Houston, when I was doing it in Orlando, when I've done it in Tennessee as well. It's talking with the youth is that I think the biggest impact for them is that they would do better with not having accessibility to the internet. And what I mean by that is because and it not making it better, but we didn't know that we didn't have shit growing up because we didn't have anything to compare it to besides the people that we were growing up with. Now, we knew that certain people would have the first game that came out. We knew that they would have the first TVs, you know what I'm saying? You knew that they would have the newest shoes quicker. We knew certain little things like that, but that's just materialistic. I'm talking about from a complete mental perspective of we didn't really know what was going on. I mean, you know, the person that had everything may not have had an active mother or father. They were just provided with things or they weren't loving. So we didn't really get a chance to compare and contrast. But now that with this newer wave of people basically pushing for our youth to be vanity slaves and compete and compare and contrast, and now they have social media. I couldn't imagine of what the youth is actually going through now, is because we only had to deal with the people that we grew up with until we slowly but surely got into this internet wave. And by that time, it was MySpace and Facebook was coming along, but that was only for college students. So it was a lot of different things back in the day that wasn't really accessible to us, so we couldn't compare and contrast. So I just think about these young kids, and if the message just needs to be switched, because also you have to think that they're living in a space to where diversity, equity, and inclusion is at the head of everything, regardless if it's a school, all of the school events. I mean, even all the way down to sporting events, is that they have participation trophies for everyone. Like if your team was just showing up, you're getting a trophy. They're growing up in a different time. So I think maybe if you looked at the message of you have to go 10 times harder because of the racial discrimination that you may go through in life, that's still prevalent. However, not as much as it was when we were coming up, and definitely not as much as we were our uncles, great uncles, grandparents, and even great grandparents if you had a chance to meet with them. So I would think is that creating that safe space for the youth and talking with them would help them explain to you of what they feel that they are forced with or faced with on a daily basis from their little lives, because you could just only imagine of what they're thinking about. It's completely different from when we were growing up. It's different times. So I think that would be the most helpful part, is that create a space for them, allow them to be emotional, allow them to be vulnerable, allow them to express themselves. And I think that would truthfully curb the issues within the Black communities, because we've all been taught, and I was raised on survival, to just get through it in a sense. And you had support, but at the same time, you had to go out and make it happen for yourself. It wasn't anybody going to give anything to you. And that's still the same way. But I think that these young kids look at it completely different, when you could look at the world and say, man, they got everything going on. Why not me? Let me know your thoughts. As always, long live CC.